And I'm wondering what the United States is going to do more specifically to set up a permanent infrastructure. And relatedly, is the United States willing to make a specific allocation for Ukrainian refugees? And for President Duda, I wanted to know if you think, and if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, I can first. Okay, so this time. Szanowna pani redaktor.
Madam, the situation is very complex. This is what I was saying today, and I discussed this at length with Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. I said in a very blunt way that today we are seeing a refugee crisis. It is unfolding because Poland is still able to receive, it is all the time able to find the accommodation for those people who are coming to us all the time. But we have got almost 1,500,000 people who have come to us over the last couple of days. So it's been 10 days. We have received more than 1 million people within 10 days. Never before have we witnessed such a situation. So this is something totally new to us. And we are grappling with this huge challenge. Our entire society is facing up to this challenge. I have already expressed my gratitude to the Polish people for their wonderful position in this very difficult situation, that they are so open-hearted. But we are aware that the problem is growing and that this problem is increasing. We have to somehow handle it, and we do not have the experience. Therefore, yesterday, I had a long conversation with Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations Organization, and I flagged out that problem to him. I described him the situation, how it looks, how it develops. I described to him the reaction of the Polish society, of the Polish authorities, how we have been handling with this problem. But I told him that unless we receive international assistance, then, given further influx of refugees to Poland on this scale, this will end up in a refugee disaster. And I asked for help, both the material assistance, financial assistance, so that we are able to solve this in Poland. I also asked for expertise, for the know-how, because the UN has got experts who have seen a multitude crisis of this dimension, and I'm sure that they have worked out methods of how to handle it, and I'm sure they know how to solve the problems which ensue due to such a crisis situation. And this is something that I described in details also today to Madam Vice President. I said that the assistance of the United States in this respect is invaluable to us, and we would be very much grateful if we could use this assistance as soon as possible. Furthermore, we discussed the refugees from Ukraine who have got relatives and families in the United States and who would be willing, at least for the time when the war is still waging, they would like to visit those families, to stay with their families in the United States and to wait there until the war is over and then come back to their homes. I asked to speed up and simplify the procedures for such people, the consular procedures to be simplified for those people who would like to leave for the United States, to give the opportunity to these people to see their families as soon as possible, to be reunited with their families, to help them to survive this time. So we are acting, and we are looking for international support because indeed the vast majority of Ukrainian refugees are coming to our country. Frankly speaking, that is because, first of all, we are a big country, and also the material status of an ordinary citizen of Poland is for sure much better than the material status of the living conditions of an ordinary Ukrainian citizen, although we are not among those wealthy countries of Western Europe, but our living standards have increased over the last couple of years in Poland. But they are coming because I believe that also it is their belief that thanks to the presence of NATO armed forces, thanks to the presence of our allies from NATO, from Canada, from the UK, from Romania, and from other countries whose soldiers are deployed in Poland, they believe that Poland, due to that presence, is a safe country, a country which is not going to be attacked, a country where you can safely wait out this difficult situation.
As the President said, we did discuss this issue, and I started by thanking the President and Poland and the people of Poland for what they have done. and I will restate what I said earlier this afternoon. They've shown extraordinary generosity and kindness and courage. And there have been some here who have relatives who have arrived from Ukraine, but I think there are many more who are taking in perfect strangers, with barely a lot to give, but giving a lot nonetheless. So we recognize that, and we recognize the burden that it places on the government of Poland, on the president, and the infrastructure of this country. When you look at, as the president said, over 1.5 million people coming within 2 weeks virtually. Unprecedented if you track and look at refugee flows over the history of time from regions of conflict. So the United States is absolutely prepared to do what we can and what we must to support Poland in terms of the burden that they have taken on, that I think all of us who understand the moral obligation we should feel to help people who are fleeing harm and seeking refuge, the burden we should all be prepared to take on to support those people who are fleeing their home when they don't want to leave. In terms of what we are doing in the United States, we will then take this in terms of what we can do to support and look at those Ukrainians who want to come to the United States. What we are seeing thus far is large parts of that population who are fleeing Ukraine who desire to stay in Europe. You probably know that we have made a decision as it relates to TPS, the temporary protected status. So for Ukrainians that are in the United States whose visa may expire or has expired, if they were in the United States before, I believe it's March, I don't have the exact date, they will be able to stay. They won't be required to leave even though their visa has expired, because of course we would not send them back to what is a war zone. And the bottom line is that I have stated the position to the President this afternoon. As we have said many times through our work collectively in the UN, through NATO, we will support Poland in terms of the burden it is facing and our collective responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of these refugees.
Na tym kończymy konferencję.